years, every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the name of the show?
Out of the Bag.
Out of the Bag.
Comedy bag. Heck of that. We had a great big bag and we'd jump out of it. There were no graphics, there were no wipes or transitions or one-camera shoots, and we tried to be as inventive as we could, but we were just basically crazy. It's lucky we weren't arrested. Heck and Deck. Our motto, heck and Deck, funny as a train wreck. And we were too, boy.
What have become of those shows?
I have them in a box in a humidified, controlled storage. I own it. I produced it. And we had some guests over the years, but that's just my roots, so I've kept it all these years.
But you're where does your comedy come from, if I can ask that question? For us
What do you mean by that? Where does my comedy come from?
It's
my
like
mouth, my eyes, my nose.
But you didn't grow up in a family where there were all kinds of, you learned it
I don't recall, we ate well, we had a nice place, we weren't rich, we weren't poor, but it wasn't funny.
And so as you learned to see things.
I can remember in 1968, I am 16 years old, sitting on the couch watching the news of the coverage of the riots in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. And I turned to my mother, because my dad worked for the military, and said, "Mom, what are they doing?" She says, "They're protesting, Lou." I went, "Wow, their dads let them do that?" So it was very strict and controlled around my house. And I imagine that's part of why I'm trying to be so free and fun today, because it wasn't free and fun then.
Well, you have had quite a life of experiences. Is there any that...
The Lord has blessed me more times than I can count. Here's a quick one. Let me say this. One of those blessings. Got asked to do a USO tour across the world. We went all the way from San Francisco to Paris and back. We went around the world, but we stopped in the Orient. My mother's father died toward the end of World War II. He survived the Bataan Death March in the Philippines.
Your father did?
My grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather.
Mother's father.
Okay.
And 44 years later, I'm in the Philippines doing shows for the American military. We're there for a month because there were so many camps to go, where hundreds and hundreds of guys were stationed. We had to do 3 shows a day for a month to cover the Philippines.
Wow.
Finally get a day off, start searching the cemeteries, asking questions. After some particular hassle, found a place that had certain kind of graves in it, asked. Turns out my grandfather was not necessarily there, but he was giving a grave site there, as were everybody in his unit. And when I inquired, it turned out that somehow they lost the connection between his family and he was listed as AWOL, and it turns out he was on a security mission. My mom got a Bronze Star and insurance money because I was overseas telling jokes. Jokes. Funny. Me, this idiot. Red shoes, telling jokes. Found my grandfather. That's when God blessed me and let me know I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. Till then I thought I was just crazy. And I've had more of those than I can count.
More serendipitous type?
Not necessarily things that would absolutely never happen unless the key ingredient here, Lou traveling, telling jokes. I don't travel for my own pleasure. I only travel for work. So when I've gone to places and miracles have happened, it's because I'm a comic, not because...
Have you ever had any funny miracles happen?
What do you consider funny? I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm standing on the street with dangerous Don Imus, the radio guy.
Oh yeah, he is dangerous.
And a very famous comic named Ali Joe Prater. And we're doing the radio show to support the comedy club at 7 in the morning. Comics aren't supposed to be out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. We just got in the bed about 5:15.
Oh.
Yes, so we're standing on the street, it's cold and wet, and Steve Martin drives by in a cherry red Rolls Royce. He knows us from the Comedy Store, Mr. Ali Joe Prater and myself, and to make a joke, gets out of his car, walks right up into the camera shot, and hands me his keys, because in his last incarnation he saw me, I was the valet at the Comedy Store, and he asked me to park his Rolls. So I drove it away and didn't come back. I left it about 3 blocks away and walked back. He had me arrested. Then,
you're kidding.
well, for 30 minutes, the guy had handcuffs on me, and we stood on camera, and real fun. Me, Steve, and Don, and Ali Joe Prater. Lots of fun.
That's hard to...
No, it was just... just the way it works. I married a police officer Met her on a cruise ship when I was performing out of Miami.
Is this true?
Absolute truth. Another weird story about, you want miracles? I got miracles. We dock, I'm on the cruise ship, we dock back in Miami to trade passengers. I have 5 hours off before I have to leave again. My wife is a police officer in Tampa, Florida. She drives 5 hours to Miami to see me. Turns out there's, and this is true, somebody actually, while we were on a trip, bolt a big iron box full of heroin onto the bottom of the cruise ship. And they get caught when we come back in. Well, they didn't get caught, but they found the box. So they've imprisoned and quarantined the entire ship. My wife drove 5 hours to see me.
Oh, wow.
So she's a cop. She's a very highly placed, or then and still is, a very highly placed, well thought of, beautiful police officer from Florida. She went up to the federal customs and told them the story. The federal custom officers came on the boat and arrested me. Walked me off the boat in handcuffs. Got me to my wife, took the handcuffs off, says, go have a good time. And and the end of that story is, we go to the Miami airport to see her mother, and we see my mother on the plane. My mother has left Georgia once in 50 years, and she was flying through Miami that day.
We so happy we alive, we together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies, and now's the time to legalize. Tell me brother, tell me true, what the hell we gonna do? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive, we together can survive. Mother Nature, heaven sent, don't belong to government. Hey there sister, what's the plan? Do you really understand? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1